Okay, so we should be live on YouTube now. So welcome everyone to the release working group session. Uh, Let me also make sure I share the minutes again. So please make sure you add your name to it and you can follow up with the agenda there too. So yeah, before we start, is there anything, announcements, anything that anyone else to add before we start with the regular agenda? If not, I guess we can start with the first item here. We have this prune Sitkin team from Richard, not Richard Trott. So, but I see you comment on it, Richard. Do you wanna maybe?
Yeah, I'm just
add
putting
something
it for awareness. Rich Trott is proposing trimming the SitGym list of people that have access to that repository. The releases, all releases already have access to that. So a follow-up question was, once you take out the people that he believes are no longer active, the only people left are releases. So then the question was, should we just get rid of the SitGym team? I've kind of always hoped we could get people outside of the releases team to help maintain SitGym, but maybe the reality is that it is only the releases that are doing that. So yeah, we don't need to make a decision here right now. I just want to sort of raise that as a awareness sort of discussion, whether it's even feasible that people outside the releases team are even going to try to contribute to SitGym, or whether we just say, okay, no. Reality is it's only the releases that are actually looking after that module. I mean, it is used a lot as part of people landing large features or potentially breaking changes, or changes that people are unsure of.
Yeah. So
okay,
I'm
so
a big plus one on your comment there, Richard.
Yeah, so Darcy said the NPM team are asking about access to run SitGym. So that may be an argument for keeping the SitGym team, and maybe we add like NPM people that are not releases into that team and give them access to SitGym. So yeah, just take a step back to that issue. Just thought we'd add it, given that it's sort of under our umbrella. Thanks, Darcy.
Yeah, you want to add something? Oh. But yeah, if not, I'm also totally on board with you, Richard. I would love to have an active Sitkin team outside of the release team to complement, right, and help out. Like it's such a, well, right now it's in a not too great shape, and it would be awesome if we have like a Sitkin that is in good shape and we can trust on when cutting the releases. So, but I think one of the points we should highlight here, like, and I think one of the reasons why Sitkin doesn't get a lot of love is kind of like lack of, just reconnaissance for the work contribute there. Like it's even less, even less visible than the work that the release working group is already doing. So I don't know like how to actually get people excited to contribute.
No, right.
That's a difficult like equation.
Yeah, our team might be interested in helping support this, just because like we've even considered running SitGym prior to opening up a PR in Node for NPM, and I know we discussed this back when you were even working with us, Roy. So we're looking at that again as a potential future where we would run SitGym prior to opening up a PR versus leveraging our relationship with Node to be running these tests and using up compute on your side. Yeah, so that might mean that folks from our team could help also support SitGym long term, maybe, and maybe give contributions back. So I noted Luke Harris from our team is actually got a call with Rich Trott, I think, scheduled next week. And I think part of the reason why he was looking at the ownership or maybe the teams was because we've been having conversations about what it would look like to get our team access to SIGCOMM. Again, because we're trying to also make sure that we're keeping that CI green with the latest release of NPM. So yeah, I can comment back in that thread and also see if we can get some resources, dedicated from our side to make sure that this stays like a valuable tool.
Great, thanks.
Awesome. Okay, anything else on that issue? Okay, otherwise we can move on to the next issue here in the agenda. So it's plans for NPM 9. Okay, yeah, and maybe there's something new. I saw that Darcy just left an update, and we also, me and Raphael just released, mostly Raphael was helping out, but 19 went out. So now I guess the plan is getting more concrete now, at least. Like we have our new current version out, and there was the idea of landing the NPM update on it. So Darcy, maybe you want to speak a little bit on the last update from NPM here?
Yeah, so we gave 2 updates. One about 3 weeks ago, tried to share a bit of a plan, and I apologize for not getting involved earlier and not putting this on the releasers radar earlier as well. I apologize for that. I guess to get ahead of myself or the future team, we will likely be cutting a major version of NPM next year around this time. So we can have that discussion again next year as well about how we can do this better and plan better to collaborate better. But right now we'd love to try to see what the widest group or the widest LTS support we can get is, and so we're taking a very slow rollout and phased rollout approach to this release, and we want to make sure that this version is non-breaking for Node and ensure that it can be backported to as many LTS versions as possible. So we're letting it bake right now. Node NPM v9 is not considered latest at this point. We haven't changed the disk tags on the registry, so it's only consumable if you specifically ask for v9, and this gives us a bit more testing and another few weeks of sort of community feedback and address any issues that we see, and then we plan to open up a PR at that point to get sort of the rollout plan is to then open up a PR to main, get it into the hands of the experimental and nightly folks that would be consuming Node, and then again take another little while before we would try to land it in Node 19. So a kind of decoupling NPM's release schedule from nodes there, but in a way that hopefully reduces any kind of issues with the community, the ecosystem, and hopefully that plan all makes sense to everybody, and hopefully it's something that people feel confident about. Like that was the key there. We want to give lots of baking time, and yeah, hopefully just you trust that we care deeply about not breaking our shared users set of users. So yeah, care deeply about that. So I have somebody on our team, Nils Nathan Lafreniere, who sits on the PSC of Happy Advisory Board and has done a bunch of work in Node, helped with NSP. He'll probably be reaching out to this group and wants to also help within this next couple months even, and maybe set up a plan for how we long-term can make sure that majors of NPM can land safely into Node. And I'm sure some folks on this call have ideas on how we can do that. Maybe it's just a checklist of exit criteria. We sort of made a subset list of exit criteria that we said we'd meet in that post that I gave there as well, in that issue thread. So hopefully that all makes sense to folks and everybody feels comfortable about that plan. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We would love for you to use npm v9 today if you can upgrade, and let us know if you find anything. And then yeah, our plan is to open up the PRs and over the next coming months, and come the new year, we'll hopefully come with a PR to open and backport v9 into Node 19, and then hopefully Node 18 as well. The like stretch goal would be 16, Node 16 if possible. That would be amazing if we could do that. I know that's a lot tougher probably to work about, but yeah, that would also be amazing if we could eventually find or have that confidence that we're not breaking a large set of the community by backporting that version. So that's I think a bit of synopsis. I'm here to answer any questions as well, or if folks have any comments or feedback about that, let me know.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate the care and this approach here. But one comment on I believe 16 is probably not worth it. Like, it's going to be a short-lived version, right?
Yeah, 16 is only until September next year, because we cut the life cycle short to coincide with the end of OpenSSL 1.1.1. So
okay,
yeah, it may not be worth it in the long run. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
On 16, there, as on a separate note, that there was an issue raised saying, so we had a 16 release recently where we bumped up to npm 18.9 something, and we've had some reports, or at least a report, saying that it's broken Git SSH URLs. Maybe it's only a subset of those, but I'll paste the issue here. It's that one. But yeah, it's just I guess that's probably one where you could get someone from the npm team to evaluate that, rather than not take the option of sort of rolling back the npm release in 16. But yeah, it would be good to get at least some sort of evaluation on that.
Oh, and you linked an issue in the npm CLI repo. Right, cool.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was anything in the CLI repo that, again, indicated whether this was a real bug or something that used to work but doesn't work but was never guaranteed to work, or whatever. But we've had at least one person been vocal in the Node repo about it. And yeah, it went out in an LTS release and they're complaining about it, and without sort of further advice, it's unclear what we should do about it. Like I said, I'd probably like to avoid rolling back, because I think it was quite a jump from, I think we were on 8.15 or something before in Node 16. So, it's quite a few versions we jumped up. But anyway, yeah, just for awareness.
No, thanks, Richard. Oh, we'll look into it and I can comment back.
Yeah, it's already priority 1, but maybe you want to double check, maybe prioritize even more. I don't know. Yeah, but
I think it's just all we want from release is whether it's don't need to do anything, or maybe we should roll back temporarily, or there'll be a release, or it has been fixed in a release, and this is the release that should go into Node 16. Just some recommendation, and then we'll go from there.
So it's morning Eastern time for me. I'll try to post back with some clarity or exactly what's going on by this afternoon. So.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great, thanks. But yeah, even if it's like later in the week or early next week, that'll be fine.
Okay. Did anyone else had anything to add to npm 9 rollout? Any extra questions to Darcy here? Take the advantage that he's here today, so might be a nice occasion to ask any questions if you have. If not, then let's move on to the next issue here.
Everybody's too kind. You can feel free to DM me or ask questions after the call as well, or just send me your complaints as well. I'm willing to listen and try to do our best to mitigate those. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Darcy. Yeah. So let me just double check. So to understand the timeline. Okay, so I might have a question. Just clarify the timeline. So we're looking to land on 19 early next year, January. Is that about the timeline that you envision?
The backport or basically landing V9 in Node 19 would open in early December. We don't have an expectation of when it would land. Like that's totally on you. Like the plan here is just like our intent to open up PRs, and we never have the expectation that this team will pull them in, and we want to be mindful that we don't want to ever force this team's hand to pull things in. Like that's totally on you to accept. And then the idea would be roughly 6 weeks later, so about a month and a half later after landing in V9, like open up another PR. The reason why we're doing it so slowly and phased approach is just truly to give folks as much confidence as possible. If we felt good in early December to open up PRs to also land that release and not juggle these various versions of NPM into backport into Node 18, we would obviously that would be an ideal outcome for us as well. But we also want to just be really, really mindful and yeah. I think that
sounds great. Thank you. Yes, Beth.
Yeah, I was going to add a comment, but first of all, like I think the backport timelines are really, really generous. Like leaning on the side of very, very generous, which is really great and appreciated based on stability and things. In there, I was wondering, would NPM be inclined to land the NPM 9 update earlier in Node 19? Because in my mind, getting it into people's hands sooner via current and increasing the window between when it's in people's hands in current and it going back into LTS may give some more feedback. And to be honest, our general flow for current is once it's landed on the main branch, if it's not tagged as Semver major, it will end up, it will end up in that release the next time a release goes out. So it could be within a week or 2 weeks. And maybe that would be better for getting more feedback in advance of LTS. But no, like if you want to keep with the very, very generous backports, go for it. And if that works for your schedules, perfect. But I just wanted to raise that maybe it could happen earlier.
Yeah, I mean, we want to give everybody as much like confidence and time to let this bake as possible, especially because we truly want to show that there should be minimal breaking changes to the ecosystem. And so like if SICM continues to pass, then we really want to show that like V9 should really be it could be considered sort of like almost like a minor upgrade, although there are breaking changes in it. It is hopefully a minor update in Node's consideration. So that's why we're being extra cautious here. And also, it was sort of felt from our side that there were a few other folks, maintainers and collaborators that sort of this peaked, this initial issue sort of piqued some spidey senses, I guess, and we want to just accommodate folks as much as possible here. So I would be okay with us moving up that time frame, but we've said it now, like we're willing to stick to this, and our team is willing to sort of support this timeline the way it is now. But I totally understand that, yeah, once we land in main, the expectation could be that Node updates sooner. Like that's out of, in my opinion, that's out of my team's hands. If you folks want to update NPM as a dependency, you can fully do that today and pull it in earlier. If you also feel confident about it. So.
Yeah, just to summarize my rationale briefly on that, I think I'd put more value on baking time in current than baking time on the main branch, because hardly anyone's using Node from the main branch, but quite a few people are using it from current, and that's the main rationale there.
Okay. Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. We didn't really know. We also don't have great data about how many people are going to be using it v9 in between now and that time frame as well. So definitely, if we can get in current faster, then that helps us, obviously get more feedback. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So we'd be totally okay with it. That December, roughly, I think it's December 7th was the idea that we potentially get Node v9 or npm v9 backport or into current, which is v19. So if we can get it a lot sooner, it's sometime in that November timeframe, or maybe we make it that November 9th timeframe, that would be great. Between November 9th and this early December, landing in current would be awesome. So gives us almost an extra month of baking time before we would open up a backport for 18.
Yeah, that sounds good. Maybe we'll only be able to come to this decision. That's a sense like a reasonable thing to do after the PR's been opened and landed on main and run through SitGym and things. And if everything looks good there, then maybe that is an option to bring it forward. But we may as well wait until the PR's been opened. We've run SitGym on it. It's landed on main before making that call, maybe.
Great. So let's move on here on the agenda. The next item here, I don't know if we have anything to add, Richard. I know.
Yes. We've updated to that particular version of the time zone database in 16 and 18. We haven't done that in 14. I'm about to open a PR later this afternoon that actually updates the time zone database in Node 14 to the latest one, which is 2022E. So that's some versions beyond the one that this issue was originally open for. But it has to be a separate PR because we use an older version of ICU in Node 14. So we can't take the PRs that landed in main and 18 and 16 due to ICU version differences. But yeah, my intent is to open that PR and then we'll have time zone updated in Node 14, and then this issue can be closed off.
Cool. Yeah, sharing here real quick to give more context on what issue we're talking about. So, okay, so should we remove this from the agenda? Is it good now?
Yeah, let's remove it from the agenda.
Great, thank you. Okay, anything else you want to add?
No, we've got a workflow now that will update main when new versions of the time zone database comes out. So hopefully a lot of it will now be automated, and the only issue we'll have then is backporting to the 14 because it's just on a different version of ICU. Or maybe we would have to backport to 18 and 16, given that I think we're about to move main to the next version of ICU when it's released. So, but yeah, there's automation in place, so at least we'd be aware of the issues, or at least aware that there's a thing that can land sooner.
Okay. Yeah, and if feel free to help me out with the notes, everyone, anyone. And the next item here in the agenda, we have that tweak we made for December minor LTS releases. We discussed it again, the Collab Summit. Was there anything else? I think we kind of missed just documenting this properly.
I don't know if it's written down anymore that we restrict to one minor per quarter. We should check to see if that's written down and delete that line. But I think we were mostly going to put this in action via the schedules and just change the schedules to be like monthly minors, just predicted for LTS. Just change the numbers.
Right. Yeah, I'll add a comment here in the issue just mentioning. Let's double check the documentation. But we kind of announced that, or at least I guess we highlighted at the very least during the Collaborator Summit. So hopefully there is at least some awareness that this change is coming into play. So yeah. And next here, major release rotation, which I guess the main point of this was for 19, Pat? Or do we want to also like already kind of start plan for the next one?
Oh, sorry, I zoned out for 1 second. Which issue was this? Sorry.
Right. So it was that original issue from you asking about the major release rotation, right?
Oh, okay.
And
yeah. I think somewhere we should just probably write down some guidance to say 3 months before the release, call for a release steward that can start working on the release. And I think, or maybe 5 months before, I don't know. We just like in advance of the release, figure out someone who's going to do the release. That's about all we need to do on this. So I don't know whether
right. Yeah.
It could be in the major release guide, or could it be in our policy to say we would have made a call for a release steward for the next major release by 3 months before the release or something.
Yeah.
We could even write some a workflow to open an issue in the release repo X amount of time before the planned GA dates of the major releases, because we do sketch them out in the schedule.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That sounds it sounds like a good idea. Yeah. And then the issue is just okay.
Opened auto take for the meetings, and hopefully it will pop up in a meeting with enough time that we say, oh, we need to do this now.
I've certainly found that if you were to open that issue and tag it good first issue, it would very quickly be implemented. As with the time zone thing. So maybe we should do that instead.
In the release repo, yeah.
Yeah. Let's give it a try. Yeah, feel free to maybe open that issue, put the label, let's see. But if not, yeah, it would be nice to kind of like automate that anyways, yeah. So yeah, but I would very much recommend pairing on it. I would have been a very bad spot if I was trying to do that alone. So it was great to just like be there with Raphael, like he ended up leading most of the release. So, but I kind of like followed up with all the steps. So if I ever need to do one in the future, at least kind of like I kind of see how it works.
Yeah, it probably just seems reasonable to have steward and at least a backup or a pairer or something, just in the event of life happens and someone can't do it anymore, having someone who's slightly familiar with the process, then yeah, makes sense.
Definitely. Cool. And then we have the release plans here. So for 18, we have the LTS release coming up next week. Sorry. So similar to the 19 release, me and Raphael were going to pair on it. So we can me and Raphael, we can probably sync after this meeting here, but I was kind of hoping to maybe open the PR, kind of take more the lead on this one, but we can sync after the meeting.
I can't remember if I documented it. There is some automation in Node Core Utils that should do everything.
Actually, Beth mentioned it, like start the release or something like that. It's a good way to try. So yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a single commit, right? Like just a small change.
You have to add things like the code name, the LTS bit, and then there are some tables in the change logs that need to be moved around and reheaded. I mean, it's
okay, but there is no cut-off date. I mean, I can open the pull request today, and
you could open the pull request today. Yeah, we have that target date for next. Is it next Tuesday? Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you could open the PR now because it's unlikely to change between now and that date, because the only thing that's being updated is the metadata. There should be no other functional changes going in.
All right.
Great, yeah. Oh yeah, for me it will work really well actually. Just open the pull request today. So okay.
Yep.
Cool. And
actually,
okay.
I have a question on that issue. Is that we mostly finished all the release plan when 18 is current, but now looks like we need to create a new issue for 18 LTS, right?
I think what I've done in the past is like hidden the current one under a details twisty, and then created a new table above. If you look at the Node 16 one, you can probably copy from that. But yeah,
okay.
we do need to include the new table, and I suppose we're just going to stick with monthly releases, but they will be minors potentially, so we can go.
Yeah.
Right. Let me try sharing my screen again here. Can you see my screen? And is this the right screen, not my personal email or something?
Yeah, you're
cool.
showing the 16 releases.
Yeah, so here, yeah, you can see the current like hidden here, so the other table. So yeah, we can switch gears to 16 too. So should we add more planned releases for 16?
As it's in maintenance, I tend to put a placeholder, like just 2022 XX, and just to imply that people might,
yeah,
like we can do a future release, and if people have a way of asking that they need something to go out, we are planning to do more, but we haven't set time yet. I think that's fair.
Right. Something like this.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, so we don't need to plan anything. And 14, should it not be on the agenda anymore?
So, I mean, we are doing occasional releases, but there's not much to go at in a 14 release, although Daniel is preparing one. So that one is still in preparation. That's kind of like why I wanted to open the time zone PR and see if we can get it into that.
I think we will have, I don't know, anytime soon, new security release, and probably the 14 will be affected too, right?
Right.
But we don't tend to put security releases here until we publicly announce them.
No, I mean just after the release itself, right?
Okay, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
At some point there will be an OpenSSL update to correct the releases they withdrew.
Yeah, that one we are waiting.
We'll have to wait for them.
Yeah. But that's not a security release though.
No. Okay.
In terms of the label, I tend to leave all the schedules with release agenda on, because kind of each release meeting, we kind of go through every single one and say, do we need to do a release? Is there anything warranting? So I'd say we just always tag those, essentially.
Okay, so with that, I think we get to the end of the regular agenda here. Anything else anyone want to talk about before?
There's just one thing that we need to create the 19, right? The schedule, the issue.
Yes.
And start with some names and some labels.
Yeah, I was going to propose, if you want to stick around, you and anyone else that wants to stick around, maybe we can also use a little time after this meeting to create those issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can create the issue with all the placeholders, and then we do it asynchronously. And whenever for instance, I will have more time in February, so I put my name there, and that's it.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess the one thing, like, I tend to, from the 18th when 19 was released, I just set the dates for every 2 weeks from then on a Tuesday. And we can amend them after a fact. That was just a rough thing. I tend to copy and paste as a first draft. So.
Right, so 2 weeks from the original 19 release, 19.0.0.
Yeah, whatever that date is, 2nd of November, somewhere. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, so Anything else?
Just a question. I know releases on the staging branches, and the last 16 release was quite painful. Do you think it's okay to, get some free time to simply update the staging branches without any intended release, just to make releasers' life easier? Or
The problem with it is that the backport pull request will need to be rebased every time, right?
yeah, that's true.
I think in the interim, even if you're not signed up to do a release and you have time, you could land some of the backports and cherry pick some things. That only really applies to current and active LTS though. Like for maintenance, is 16 in maintenance now? It is.
Yeah, 16 went maintenance on the same day 19 came out.
Yeah,
I only noticed that when I updated the status table in the release repo.
So actually, you probably got the most painful release there, Juan, because from now on it will be only ad hoc, very small, like opt-in commits that land now. So
Okay, it was just backlog, I'll say. Okay,
But it might still, yeah. I was just thinking it might still be a good idea, like if you're just updating a staging branch for your leisure time and you're not handling the next release, right? It might be a good idea to just let whoever is taking care of the release know, like that you're
just
updating the
ping in Slack or something saying, hey, by the way, just
Yeah.
commits on staging. Cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
makes
But I
sense.
think we kind of encourage that because it helps out very much whoever is doing the next release.
It does. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. So before we leave here, I was a terrible host and I forgot to announce in the beginning of the session that 19 is out. So thank you very much, Raphael, for leading that one, and that also helped us out a lot.
Thank
in
you
the back
everyone,
end.
actually.
Yeah. So it's great. So I wanted to make sure I highlight that before the meeting is over. Great. So yeah, thanks everyone for who showed up, and see you next time.
I think we will have the